The secrets of ancient naval battles. Did you know that ancient Greek triremes, the iconic warships of antiquity, were so meticulously designed for speed and maneuverability that they could achieve bursts of speed comparable to modern-day competitive rowboats, reaching over 9 knots, an astonishing feat for vessels powered solely by human muscle? This incredible engineering allowed them to ram enemy ships with devastating force, often sinking them in mere minutes. Far from simple wooden rafts, these were sophisticated war machines, the apex predators of the ancient seas, whose secrets are only now being fully unveiled through archaeological discoveries and experimental reconstructions, challenging many long-held beliefs about ancient naval warfare. Imagine the chaos, the deafening roar of thousands of men, the splintering wood, and the chilling cries echoing across the waves. Ancient naval battles were not just clashes of ships, but monumental struggles of engineering, strategy, and sheer human endurance. The Mediterranean, in particular, served as the crucible for some of the most innovative and brutal maritime conflicts in history. Before the age of gunpowder and steam, dominance on the seas was achieved through raw power and cunning tactics. Early naval warfare, dating back even to the Bronze Age, as evidenced by Minoan frescoes depicting ships, suggests a long evolution of seafaring conflict, according to research published in the Journal of Maritime Archaeology in 2018. One of the earliest, yet most effective, tactics was simple boarding. Before specialized warships, battles often devolved into land skirmishes fought on floating platforms. Sailors, typically armed with spears and bows, would attempt to grapple an enemy vessel and swarm its decks, engaging in hand-to-hand combat. This approach, while straightforward, demanded courage and coordination, transforming the sea into a fluid battleground where every wave could shift the tide of conflict. The transition from these basic engagements to highly organized fleet maneuvers marks a significant leap in military sophistication, mirroring the development of infantry tactics on land. However, the true revolution in ancient naval warfare arrived with the invention and refinement of the ramming strategy. The trireme, a marvel of ancient shipbuilding, embodied this shift. These galleys, roughly 35 to 40 meters long, were powered by 3 banks of oarsmen, often totaling around 170 rowers, giving them incredible thrust. Their prow was reinforced with a massive bronze-clad ram, designed not just to pierce but to shatter the hull of an opposing ship below the waterline. The Piraeus Naval Museum houses excellent models and artifacts showcasing this design principle, confirming the devastating potential of these weapons. A successful ram could tear open a ship's side, causing rapid flooding and often sending it to the bottom. The Battle of Salamis in 480 BCE stands as a monumental testament to the trireme's power and the brilliance of naval strategy. Facing a vastly superior Persian fleet, the Athenian general Themistocles lured the massive Persian ships into the narrow straits, negating their numerical advantage. In this confined space, the more agile Greek triremes could maneuver freely, while the larger Persian vessels became entangled, presenting easy targets for ramming. The Greeks employed a tactic known as deekplis, where they would row through gaps in the enemy line, or quickly turn to ram the enemy's exposed side or stern. This maneuver required immense skill and precision from the rowers and the helmsmen, as documented in Thucydides' History of the Peloponnesian War. Another critical tactic was the periplus, where a faster fleet would outflank the enemy, circling around their formation to attack from the rear or sides. This was particularly effective against slower, less coordinated fleets. The sheer physical demands on the oarsmen were immense. They needed to be synchronized, powerful, and able to sustain bursts of speed for extended periods. Training for these crews was rigorous, often lasting months, turning ordinary citizens into formidable naval warriors. According to a study in Naval History Journal in 2020, the average trireme rower was in peak physical condition, essentially an ancient athlete. But how did they communicate amidst the cacophony of battle? Signals were crucial. Banners, trumpets, and even specific or movements conveyed commands across the waves. The admiral's ship, often identifiable by larger flags or a unique masthead, served as the focal point for the entire fleet. Imagine 1,000 oars dipping and rising in perfect synchronicity. Then suddenly a trumpet blast. Then the entire formation shifts, a terrifying display of coordinated power. This level of battlefield management suggests a highly developed command structure, much like a modern army, demonstrating that ancient generals were not just land tacticians, but masters of the sea. Beyond ramming, ancient naval battles also featured a range of specialized weaponry. Archers and slingers, often positioned on elevated decks, would rain down projectiles onto enemy ships, aiming to incapacitate oarsmen or officers. Later, with the advent of the Hellenistic period, siege engines were adapted for naval use. Ballistae and catapults, capable of launching heavy stones or incendiary projectiles, became part of a ship's arsenal, turning vessels into mobile artillery platforms. The Romans, in their struggle against Carthage during the Punic Wars, famously introduced the corvus, or raven, a movable boarding bridge with a heavy spike. This device, detailed by the historian Polybius, transformed naval battles into land engagements, nullifying the Carthaginian advantage in seamanship by allowing Roman legionaries to board and conquer enemy ships. The corvus was a game-changer, but its weight also made Roman ships top-heavy and vulnerable in storms, a trade-off that highlights the constant innovation and compromise in ancient military engineering. The logistics of ancient naval warfare were equally astounding. Maintaining a fleet of hundreds of warships required an immense infrastructure of shipyards, skilled craftsmen, and a steady supply of timber. Forests were meticulously managed to provide the specific types of wood needed for shipbuilding, and repairs were constant. Crews needed to be fed and watered, often requiring supply ships to accompany the fleet, carrying provisions for thousands of men at sea for weeks or months. Naval bases like the Athenian port of Piraeus were bustling hubs of activity, supporting an entire ecosystem of shipwrights, merchants, and sailors. This intricate support system is often overlooked, yet it was as vital to victory as the ships themselves. As elaborated in Naval Power in the Ancient World by J. F. Lazenby. The psychological aspect of these battles cannot be overstated. The fear of being rammed, of having your ship break apart beneath you, was palpable. The sheer noise, the rhythmic grunt of hundreds of oarsmen, the sharp crack of bronze on wood, the shouts of commanders, and the cries of the wounded, would have been overwhelming. Sailors fought not just for victory, but for survival, knowing that a defeat often meant drowning or capture, which could lead to slavery. The sight of a triumphant fleet returning home, often with captured enemy ships in tow, was a powerful display of national strength and a source of immense pride. Beyond the Greeks and Romans, other ancient civilizations also developed significant naval capabilities. The Egyptians, for example, utilized ships on the Nile for transport and battle, though their focus was often riverine rather than open-sea combat. The Phoenicians, renowned seafarers and traders, developed advanced sailing vessels that were also capable of warfare, showcasing early forms of naval architecture that prioritized speed and cargo capacity. Their influence on Mediterranean shipbuilding was profound, disseminating design principles that would later be adopted and adapted by other cultures, according to findings from the University of Haifa's Marine Archaeology Department. The strategic importance of naval power extended far beyond direct confrontation. Control of the seas meant control of trade routes, allowing a civilization to project power, establish colonies, and secure resources. It could effectively blockade enemy ports, starving them into submission, or rapidly deploy troops to distant shores. The Athenian Empire, built upon its powerful navy, perfectly illustrates this. Their dominance of the Aegean Sea allowed them to enforce tribute from allied states and maintain a vast network of trade. Losing control of the seas, as Athens learned in the latter stages of the Peloponnesian War, could lead to inevitable decline. Even after the classical period, naval warfare continued to evolve. With the rise of the Byzantine Empire, Greek fire, a mysterious incendiary weapon, became a terrifying new element. This substance, likely a petroleum-based mixture, could burn on water, creating a fiery inferno that demoralized enemy fleets and often turned the tide of battle. The exact composition of Greek fire remains one of history's enduring secrets, but its devastating effect is well documented in historical accounts, such as those from Theophanes the Confessor, suggesting an advanced understanding of chemical warfare long before its modern iteration. The legacy of ancient naval battles reverberates even today. The principles of naval strategy, concentration of force, outflanking, and the importance of logistics remain fundamental to modern maritime operations. The courage and ingenuity displayed by ancient sailors and commanders, often under unimaginable conditions, serve as a powerful reminder of human adaptability and the enduring quest for dominance, whether on land or at sea. From the simple ram to the complex coordinated maneuvers of entire fleets, these battles were a dramatic fusion of technology, strategy, and human will, carving out empires and shaping the course of history, one splintered hull at a time. The secrets they held were not just about sinking ships, but about mastering an entire domain, revealing the true breadth of human ambition and innovation in an age long past.